And anybody else who's just arriving, if you can update your screen name to include your school and where your school is in the world. So welcome to this half-hour information session. Is just mainly designed to give insight as to what is the Ethics Olympiad and how it works. So I'm planning on staying close to the half hour. This is a list of people who registered for today. We've had this is the third information session we've run this week. So today we've got schools from Western Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore, and some schools in India. As you can see from that list, for those people who have just let in, if you can just add your screen name, your school name, and where you are in the world, that would be helpful. I'll explain how to do that in just a minute. On the last column there, it lists your response to the question, what are you interested in? And you can see from that list that most people are interested in finding out more about the middle school Ethics Olympiad. About a third of you are interested in finding out more about the senior school Ethics Olympiad. I will be referring to that during the course of the half hour, but I am focusing mainly on the middle school Ethics Olympiad because those events are starting next month. And it's actually next week is the first one. So I'm going to focus on the middle school Ethics Olympiads during the course of this half-hour session, and I'll be referring obviously to senior and junior school Ethics Olympiads as well, and I'll explain the cut-offs for each of those along the way. I'm going to talk about the background to the Ethics Olympiad just for for about 10 minutes. I'll go through a little bit of the background to it, and then I'll focus on the practicalities of how the Ethics Olympiad works, with the assumption that those of you who are here are pretty new to the event and you're interested to know how it works. And I'll leave 5 minutes for questions at the end. I've left the chat facility on. You can just write down a question and put it in the chat form if you want. Or alternatively, at the end of this presentation, I'll give you 5 minutes if you want to verbalize a question. At the end of my presentation, my name is Matthew Wills. I am the project manager for the Ethics Olympiad in Australasia. I'm joining you from South Australia. We're over here at 6:30 p.m. At night. So this is the latest information session that we've run this week because we're dealing with people in that particular time zone. So I've just let a few more people in. Can you please update your screen name? If you can leave your video on, just means that we can see people's faces and I can get a sense of whether or not I'm answering your queries or meeting your needs. Leave your microphone off for the minute. Feel free to turn it on later. To update your screen name, if you just click on the three little dots at the top right-hand corner of your picture, you can add your school name and you can add your region. And that just helps us know where people are from. Okay, let's get started. The background of this event actually has its origins in Western Australia. I was the head of philosophy and ethics at Hale School in Perth. Back in 2013, I had the joy and the privilege of winning a Winston Churchill Fellowship to go to the United States and look at the US Ethics Bowl, B-O-W-L. And there I got to meet some great young people and their teachers. And when I came back to my school in Perth, and I decided I was going to trial this idea of linking the schools from one side of the world to the other and running the same competition using video conferencing technology and Skype was the other option. So this is a picture of my students and we're linking up with a school in the US, and the boys, I was at an all-boys school in Perth, they absolutely loved it, as did the students that we were involved in. And so we replicated it over a number of years. I left Hale in 2017, and we ran a series of competitions throughout Australia and New Zealand. These were done face-to-face, so they were done in school halls, like the one on the top left-hand corner. That's St Mark's Anglican School in Perth, for those of you who are from Western Australia. And so I would stand at the front of the hall, and students would be on tables, two teams on each table, one from different, a different school on each of the tables, and we would run the same program that I'm about to describe to you, the Ethics Olympiad format. And at the end of the day, we would award gold, silver, and bronze medals to the top placed schools. We did this for a couple of years, and it grew prolifically. It was really popular. And in 2017, COVID, of course, decided to arrive in the world. And as a result, we went online, running Ethics Olympiads online, initially with schools in China. There is an ethics bowl in China. And likewise, it was really successful and very popular. Over the course of the next 2 years, the competition grew to the point where we had 600 teams participating over the course of the year. Because we were online using Zoom, it meant that schools in remote parts of Australia and New Zealand could participate. And furthermore, we could include schools in Hong Kong and in Singapore, and most recently in India. So there's the whole thing of doing something on Zoom opened all sorts of opportunities that we've been availing ourselves of ever since. This is a list of the nearly 300 teams that are participating in the upcoming Middle School Ethics Olympiad, which is starting next month. If your school is registered, then it should be listed there. Of course, those of you who are involved in the Senior School Ethics Olympiad is a separate event that'll be next year. I'll explain that in a bit of detail later. But when you've registered, if you've registered, and I know some people are participating today that haven't yet registered, but if you decide to register, we then send you a kit, information kit, which gives you resources that you can share with your students. We give you a case set, and if you're in the Middle School Ethics Olympiad, you'll get 8 cases. The Senior School Ethics Olympiad, you'll also get 8 cases. The Junior School Ethics Olympiad, we have 6 cases. For those of you who are in different, if the word middle school doesn't resonate with your particular education system, these are the age groups that we're dealing with. So middle school is 12 to 15-year-old students. Senior school is 15 to 18-year-old students. And junior school is 9 to 12-year-old students. And we now have a tertiary ethics Olympiad as well for obviously 19 years old and over students. So this is the case set for those of you who are participating next month in the Ethics Olympiads for middle school students. You have 8 cases. I'm going to go through the process of how this will run, focusing on case number 7, the case of Jaws. But if you are interested in the Senior School Ethics Olympiad, these are the 8 cases that we are going to be looking at next year. Interestingly, some of these have been written by students. So one of the interesting developments that have happened recently is that we've invited students to enter a competition, case writing competition. Many from Singapore, Hong Kong, have entered, and some of the cases that we have included for this coming Senior School Ethics Olympiad are from that competition. So this is the case set for the Senior School Ethics Olympiad next year. And for those of you who are interested, the Junior School Ethics Olympiad, here we use film clips and we use picture books. And as I said, there are 6 cases that are covered during the course of the Junior School Ethics Olympiad. Okay, so how do you prepare your team for an Ethics Olympiad? A couple of things just to say very quickly about this before I go through the structure of the event. We run training days every year, and the feedback we get from teachers, coaches, is that they really find the training days effective and worthwhile. Some of your schools have already participated in the middle school training day we ran in August this year, and next year we'll run them again in August. Likewise with the Senior School Ethics Olympiads, we'll run a training day in March, and the same with the Junior School Ethics Olympiad training days. At those training days, students get to see an actual heat in practice. They get to hear from subject specialists about best practice. We have judges who run workshops during the course of the day, and they're really quite effective and useful for people who are new in particular to the Ethics Olympiad, but even if you're not, then coaches say that they really like it, find it worthwhile. If you've got 2 teams participating from your school, it's fairly straightforward in terms of preparation. You just run the program that's on the left of this screen with them. I used to have a philosophy club at my school that used to meet weekly lunchtimes, and we would run the program that you can see on the right-hand side there, and I'm about to go through it with you, as part of a lunchtime philosophy club meeting. And the students got very good at this over the course of my time there, and they eventually started coaching junior students for the Ethics Olympiads that we were running for younger students. So if you haven't got a philosophy club or an ethics club at your school, it's a really great way of encouraging the young people to engage with these sorts of moral, ethical issues in a really constructive, proactive way. The last thing I'll mention just very quickly in terms of preparation, there is a kit that you will have got access to when you registered. If you have registered, you will have got a link that takes you to a resource kit. And on that kit, you get lots of useful resources for preparing your students. If for some reason that's been lost in translation, or if you would like a copy of the most recent information kit for the middle school teams or the senior school teams, then please email me at the email address that you got this link from, and I will send you the link. You can have a look at them. Sorry, you should have already got them if you've registered, but if you haven't registered, then feel free to email me and I will send you the link. Okay, so let's just go through the program quickly, and so you know what to expect when you come to an Ethics Olympiad. At the start, there's a housekeeping session, and there I just go through the introductory comments about what they should expect during the course of the Ethics Olympiad. I get them to update their screen name just as you did. Then at the end of the housekeeping, I put this up on the screen, which tells them what breakout room they're to go to. Every school has a color coding for their teams, and they will know where to go, which breakout room to go by the room numbers on the left-hand side and the color coding next to the team. So this is from this year's Senior School International Final, and these are the 40 teams or 38 teams, 36 teams that participated in the final. And basically a similar image will be up on the screen at the start of the event to explain which breakout room they go to. You as a coach can be in the same room, just sitting in the background, or you can be on a separate device and you can just log into the same breakout room and observe them from that link. Okay. After when they get to the breakout room, each team will go to the breakout room. A judge will then guide them through the program. The whole thing will be run by a judge in a breakout room. And they will start by introducing themselves, tell the students a little bit about themselves, why they're doing what they're doing. And then they'll get the students to each introduce themselves. They might play a very short getting to know you exercise that's designed to help the students relax, because they often come very stressed and anxious about what's going to happen. So we try to help them relax by playing a short getting to know you game at the very start of each heat. At the end of that, the judge will ask your team or the other team to choose heads or tails, just like in any sporting event. Usually there's a toss of a coin, and the winner of the toss of the coin decides who is team A or who is team B. Why is that relevant or important? Because team A will always start with the first topic, okay? So after the coin toss decides who is team A and who is team B, the judge will then put on the screen the case. And this one is case 7, the Jaws topic, which is for the middle school Ethics Olympiad. It's coming up. It's just a very short film clip for those of you who haven't seen it. Interaction between the police chief and concerned parents following the sighting of the shark. And then at the end of that film clip, the question is announced to both teams. Closing the beaches would have a devastating economic effect on this small community. Do you think that justifies all the local officials telling the police chief to keep the beaches open? Right, so ethical conundrum. Do we keep the beaches open or do we close them? That's obviously the crux of the issue. Team A has 2 minutes to talk amongst themselves, to have a conference before they respond to the question. At the end of that 2 minutes, they have 5 minutes to present their arguments and the position that they're going to take in response to this question. Anybody in the team can speak. It's not necessary that everybody in the team speaks. You might have 2 or 3 people who contribute. You may have all 4 or 5 people in the team contributing. It's completely up to you and the team to work out who's going to say what. But they will only have 5 minutes, which sounds like, in one sense, a long time, but it's actually not that long. If, for example, you get your team to summarize the case in their own words, to put forward the position of the team, to come up with examples to support their position, to deal with the counter argument. I'll say that a bit about that in just a minute, and to summarize their conclusion. That 5 minutes flies. At the end of their 5-minute presentation, Team B then has 1 minute to conference, okay, turn their mic off, talk amongst themselves, and then they have 3 minutes to present their response, their critique of the arguments they've heard from Team A. Now, one of the beauties of this event is that it's not a debate. They don't have to take the alternate view. They don't have to disagree. They can agree with the other team, and they can bolster their arguments and support their arguments with other arguments if they wish. Okay, so it's not a debate. This is the Ethics Olympiad, and the Ethics Bowl is about building the best possible answer to a difficult ethical question. So 3 minutes, Team B has to present their argument, their critique of Team A's arguments. After that 3-minute presentation from Team B, Team A then has 1 minute to conference amongst themselves, followed by 3 minutes of presentation in response to the critique that they've heard. Tip, make sure they don't just make another speech. They're responding to the critique that they've just heard from the other team. And then after that, there's a 7-minute Q&A from the judges. Now, please be assured the judges are not just trying to trick your students or make them make mistakes. They're trying to extend them into areas they may not have considered in their response. Okay, so the judges will be asking questions. The other thing is probably important to say at this stage, your team can take 30 seconds to talk amongst themselves before they respond. They don't have to respond immediately to the question that the judge gives them. I'm just putting out the marking key quickly, just so that you know what the judges are working with. So this is what the judges are working with. It's also in your information kit. This same marking key is there. Notice that I mentioned before, dealing with the counter argument. This is the third one down in thoughtfulness. Did the team's presentation indicate both awareness and thoughtful consideration of different viewpoints, including those that would loom large in the reasoning of individuals who disagree with the team's position? In other words, they have to consider counter positions as part of their answer if they want to do well in this part of the marking key. Respect is also something, it's a really important part of the Ethics Olympiad. So if your students are seen to be having a little chat while the other team's presenting or while the judge is speaking, they will lose marks for respect. It's really important they listen carefully to the other team so that they can respond well, but also the whole thing of just listening intently is an important part of the Ethics Olympiad. As I say, this marking key is in the resource kit that all the judges get. So the last thing I'll say about the process is that at the end of that process I just described, the judge will then read a new case, or give the students a new case, a new question, and Team B this time has a 5-minute presentation in response to the question, and then Team A becomes the critiquing team. And you go through the same process as I just described, exactly the same process, but Team B becomes Team A and Team A becomes Team B. Okay, that's how a heat is run. At the end of the first heat, they have a break, come out of the rooms, and I put up on the screen at the end of the break the allocations for the next heat. So your students will then be faced with another school, another group of students, and they will be going through the same process that I just described with a completely new group of young people. Okay, so the last few things just quickly to say about this before I deal with any questions. At the end of it, we will award medals, gold, silver and bronze medals to the top 3 placed teams, and certificates to the to everybody, basically, to recognise the fact that they've been selected to represent their school. And so we want to acknowledge the significance of that in itself. Just very quickly, these are the dates for the middle school ethics Olympiads that are coming up in November. You'll notice there are 2 dates for Western Australia, Hong Kong, Western Australian schools, and then there's Hong Kong schools participating on one of those 2 dates, and there's Singapore schools that are actually participating on the second of those 2 dates. And then with those schools, there's some schools in India that are participating as well. And these are the dates for the senior school ethics Olympiads that are in May next year. And I'm going to jump over the junior school ones at this stage, because I'm assuming you're mainly interested in the middle school ones. But the dates for the junior school ones and the senior school ones are all on the website. The training days are there. And lastly, this is the resource kit that I explained. The URL is at the top there if it's too small for you to read. As I say, email me and I will send you the link. But this is the resource kit that is sent out to all participating schools in the Middle School Ethics Olympiad that's coming up next month. Goes through the background, some ethics, description, what is ethics, dates and times, cases, coaches' resources, student resources, rules, and at the bottom there is a video of a middle school ethics Olympiad that you can show your students so they can see what an actual event looks like. I make that 4 minutes to go till the half hour, so I'm going to open it to questions now. If people want to add something to the chat forum, feel free to do that, or unmute yourself and you can ask a question and I'll try and answer it. So I'm just reading these questions. I have videoed this session because so there's a couple of people who have apologies. If they want to get a copy of the video, I'm happy to send it to schools that are registered. So feel free to email me about that. Any chance you could go through, into full screen so we can see the detail of the image? My apologies, I got that message too late. I'm going to actually close my screen so that I can see people a bit more clearly. The judges are asking question to both teams. Good question. No, the judge asked the question to the presenting team. In the first half of the heat, it'll be team A. In the second half of the heat, it will be team B. So only the presenting team will be asked questions during the Q&A part of the Ethics Olympiad. How many students per team? It's up to you. There's a maximum of 5 students in each team. I've had emails this week saying, I've got 7 students that want to do it. Can I involve them all? The short answer is yes, you can, but at the end of the day, there are only 5 medals for each of the gold, silver and bronze medal winning teams. So if you win a gold medal and you've got 7 participants in your team and you've shuffled them through during the course of the heat, you're going to have the problem at the end of the day is who do I give the medals to? So my strong recommendation is to try and keep it to 5 students per team. If you have somebody away on the day, you can have a reserve. They can come in. We've had 2 years of COVID, and I know there are interruptions despite everyone's best intentions and best organisation. So if you have a team of 4 or a team of 3 on the day, that's not a problem. But my suggestion is that you have some reserves to come in if you do have problems with illness on the day. How many heats are there throughout the day? For the middle school and the senior school ethics Olympiads, there are 4 heats. The first heat is a practice heat. It's not scored. It's a really good opportunity for people who are new to the Ethics Olympiad to get used to it. So the judges will run the heat just as they normally would, but there will be no scores given for the first heat. Then there are 3 heats after that, and those will all be scored. I should add, it's probably worth mentioning that if, for example, a team does not turn up and we're left with an odd number of teams, it means that we have to have 1 team each heat having a bye. So I don't think that actually applies to the events that we're running in November. I think we've got even numbers for all of those, but just so you know, it may be that your students, if they have a bye, only have 3 heats rather than 4. If the junior school students, 9 years old through 12 years old, they have 3 heats in the day. There is no practice round. The senior school ethics Olympiad, we have 4 heats with a practice round at the very beginning. I make that 7 o'clock and a half hour, so I'm happy to let you go if you want to head off. Thank you for participating. If you want to hang around and ask some questions, further questions, feel free to do that. But otherwise, I'm sure it's the end of a school day for most of you, and you probably need to some time out. So feel free to head off. And we look forward to seeing you at an Ethics Olympiad in the future.
Matthew, can I ask you a question? It's Adrian from Corpus Christi College in Perth, WA.
Yep. Welcome.
It's not so much a dilemma, but my team of 5, what we've done is we've been a bit limited for time, unfortunately. So we've had sessions where we've been through all of the cases and been through the questions, and I've let the students discuss them and look at different points of view and tried to encourage them to sort of see both sides of the argument and then build on what each student says. So you've got some sort of dialogue between them and encourage them that if necessary, they can disagree with each other. They don't necessarily have to all, agree wholeheartedly with what the other person says. In terms of we haven't really touched too much on the information pack, I must admit, only because we wanted to get through the cases and discuss them so they're familiar with them prior to going to the actual competition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that, I know that's not enough, but that's what we've done. Is that going to leave them in a situation where they're kind of stuck in the actual Olympiad itself? Because they're a bit nervous. They've never done it before. I've never done it before. Some of the students have just turned 12, so they're quite young, not compared to the junior ones, obviously. But I guess I just want them to have as much fun as they can, and hopefully next year they'll have a bit more experience to do the same thing. So my question is what we've done at this point in time, while it's by no means, what sufficient in terms of what they could have done, we've done our best. So I'm assuming that's okay.
I'll say absolutely, Adrian. The criteria for their participation would be, at the end of the day, that they enjoyed the experience, they found it really interesting, and how could they not if they're exposed to the thinking of students in Hong Kong and in schools that they normally would not have involvement with. I think you're participating on the day with the Hong Kong schools. So my short answer to the question is, I think you've done, you're doing the right thing by way of preparation. I am getting registrations. I've got registrations in the last few weeks for schools that obviously have only just got the cases in the last 2 weeks. So I dare say they're not going to be as well prepared as you. But you're exactly right that the process of participating in an ethics Olympiad will be a really good stepping stone for them going into the future. They'll grow in their confidence, their skills about how to deal with others' arguments respectfully and constructively, and that will be I think a really positive overall experience for them. So
bravo. Well, you've put my mind at ease. I appreciate that, Matthew.
That's a pleasure. That's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
So I'll close the meeting if nobody's got any more comments or questions. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Cheers.